Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with another layout. I'm going to be using some colorings today, some modeling paste from Heidi Swap, and a page kit that I had put together over a year ago. And it's using pattern papers from the Echo Park Happy Days collection. I think that collection is probably a few years old. I don't exactly know the year that it was put out, but I know I've had it in my stash for a long time. So it's high time that I use it. I'm going to cut the branding strip off of that, and then I'm going to use some leftovers from another page also. It was just sitting right there. There's a few days that I did a bunch of pages all in a row, so I love grabbing the leftovers from what I've used the day before or just the layout before this and try to use those up because I hate putting scraps in a drawer and then they stay there forever before you use them and or never. And I did grab from my DIY little container, I did grab a flare that I had put together a few weeks ago and one of the fringed butterflies. And to tell you the truth, I can't remember if they end up on this page because I did this page over a month ago. So today is April 12th, and this page was done in the earlier in March. So it's been over a month, and in a week I had done like 10 pages. So I'm still uploading those on YouTube. I'm running low. This is the last page. So thankfully this week I have done 3 or 4 pages up to now, and I plan on doing quite a few tomorrow because next week my youngest daughter is coming. Actually, she's coming over tomorrow night, and then she's staying for a week. She took a week off work for a vacation, and so she's going to be spending it here. So I won't have time to be in my scrap room. And so I need to get some pages ahead. And then the weekend after that, I'm going to my crop. So another thing I got to do tomorrow is start getting some page kits together. And I'm going to try to do that and film it so that I have a few more videos to put. And those will be real time. And all the pages I've done up to now are the speed up kind of videos. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of both, a little bit real time, maybe only once a week. On Saturdays, I'll be uploading the real time videos, and then on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, it's going to be the speed up videos with a voiceover. And I will have a DIY this Friday, so I haven't had one in a couple of weeks. But those I said that the DIYs, I'm not going to have them every week because they do take a bit of time to put together. And time has been a kind of a thing of an issue lately. So, but anyway, for this layout, I cut down. I mounted the photo in the center of that cardstock, and that cardstock I have had it forever. It's something that I bought from a manufacturer, like directly from the company, and I bought 50 sheets. And that's when I had my own business and I had classes, and I would buy supplies and have them, available for everyone. And so I've had it since then. And while I was packing, I discovered them again. They're a dark navy with flecks on it, and I've been using it up a storm, and especially for to mat a second layer, like a pattern paper. So in this case I matted that pattern paper. Now I went and just grabbed, and that was actually a pattern paper, just the blue. And now I'm adding some modeling paste. Now for whatever reason, when I filmed this, I must have had it on slow mode. Now I did say reset speed, so it sped it up a little bit, and then I did the times 4 or whatever, but it's still kind of jerky, I find. But that's what happened. I just did it wrong somehow. I must have chosen not video. It must have slid over one extra. But anyway, So I did it on that cardstock and I end up not liking it and I end up doing something else. But I thought I'd show you the process. I didn't throw this out. I'm sure I'll use it on another layout, but I don't end up using it on this layout. But I still use the modeling paste and I still use that template. I just use it in a different way. And so I'm going to put that aside, and then when it's time to actually use it, I'm like, no, I actually want to do it directly on the page because I want to make it sort of like it's rays coming out from in behind the pattern paper. So I'm going to do something a little different. And this is a picture of when me and my friend Evelyn went to Las Vegas, and that was quite a few years ago. She and I were talking not that long ago, and man, we're highly due for an adventure. Let me just tell you. I don't know when we'll be able to go, but we're highly due for an adventure. But I inked the edges using my inks from Ranger, I guess, Distress Ink. And now I'm just going to put it down, and I'm using my ATG gun. And I usually like to put some around the center because I've cut out a hole. I don't want it to pucker up. So I make sure that I put some around that so that it stays nice and flat. And I find if I make the hole too big in the center too, in the back, what I'll do is I'll just use just a piece of scrap and I'll put it in the center. But right now, the center piece is quite small, so I'm okay with it not putting in anything in behind. I did use some of my shimmers, some colorings, and I added it to the background, and I just used my heat gun. And this, in my mind, this is what I was seeing, but I find that the pattern is just a little too small. So I'm going to put it down a few times and look at it, and then I'm like, it's just not what I was kind of envisioning. I think I'm even going to cut it in two. But when I don't know what I'm going to do, I just move on. So I'm like, I know what my title is going to be. So I've got my alphas, and these are foam thickers. And let's just figure out where I'm going to have my title. And while I'm doing that, I'm thinking about, the dilemma of the template and the modeling paste. And if I still don't know what I want to do, I just walk away. And that's what I did at this point. I walked away and I came back a few hours later. Usually when I'm in a, in a funk like that I don't know what I want to do, I'll go and, do something that I really don't enjoy doing, like laundry and dishes or vacuuming. And then all of a sudden I find some inspiration of what I, might want to do. So I walked away and came back, and I thought, I want those almost sun rays to look like they're coming from in behind the pattern paper. So that's what I did. I just used my template, and then I did it directly on the pattern paper using the modeling paste from Heidi Swapp, and I like that so much better. And then that's when I decide also that I'm going to put the title so that it's going to be vertical on the side of the layout. I'm going to try it a little bit with my heat tool, and that's a heat tool from Ranger. And I love it I have two heat tools. I have my Stampin' Up! One. I love that one for embossing because it gets super hot. Now this one here, I love it because I find it's great for mixed media. It doesn't get super, super hot. I'm sure I could still emboss, but I know at some point I'm going to be doing some live stuff like on Google Plus and that kind of stuff, and I'll be able to use that heat tool, and I'll still be able to talk, and it won't make this horrendous noise. So my modeling paste at this point is not totally dry, but I'm okay. I'm going to be just careful on how I'm going to put stuff, and I'm just going to go and just glue everything down. Now, because I did the rays on the side, that's when I decided I wasn't going to put my journaling card on the side of the page anymore. I was going to put it directly under the photo. And it did two things. It opened up so that I could put my title on the side, but also it made a nice little place where I can put my butterfly, because I didn't know where I was going to put that handmade butterfly. And I've cut the top of the card because it said something like memories, I think, and I liked it, and I didn't want it to be, you know, stuck under the photo and it was going to be lost. So then I can make another little cluster at the top of the layout. So I'm going to put some foam tape on that butterfly, and I'm going to plop it right there on the side of that journaling card. I just used a label and I put it underneath, and you don't see a lot of the label, but you see it enough so that it kind of shows that yes, I meant to start an embellishment cluster right there. So I call it my embellishment cluster beginners. That's how I start my embellishment cluster. I use either a label, a tag, or a circle or a rectangle, something that I can say, okay, this is where my embellishment starts, and then everything else I layer on top of it. And just like at the top, I used that memories, and then I used one of the flares that I had put together in my DIY, and I'm going to layer them. Now I'm going to put down my title, and again, to start where my title was going to be, I just used one of those, it was a chipboard, and it just says admit one. And you know, this is Las Vegas, and everywhere you're going, you need to buy stuff, you know, to if you want to play the machines and everything. And so to me, it just reminded me of Las Vegas. Now, normally you don't need to put glue when you put down your foam thickers because they stick pretty good. But because I had modeling paste underneath, I decided to add some extra glue, and I'm using my fine line bottle. And in my fine line bottle, I get a ton of questions for that. I have quick dry adhesive from Scotch, and I get that at Michael's, and I guess now it's tacky glue. And but I have a ton of bottles, so mine is still this quick dry adhesive, but it's all the same thing, I believe, and it works perfectly in the fine line bottle. And what I like is I can control how much glue I want to put on my layout. Now I'm going to work on that last cluster, and I just cut a label in half. I tend to move from cluster to cluster to cluster. Most of the time I just use everything that I've put in that page kit, but in this case I've been working on some DIYs, so whenever I take a page kit out now, I go through my DIYs and see what I can use. And especially since I've gone to Crop and Create, because there's a lot of times when I was putting some pages together, I was kind of going into my other kits and kind of grabbing stuff that would catch my eye and put it with that page. If I found, you know, I wish I could add a little bit more things, or it was mostly pattern papers that I seem to nab from another kit, and that's fine. I mean, as long as it gets used, I'm not too concerned whether it's with the page kit that I decided or with something else. So I used I believe that's a Chamel sticker, and it just says love, and I'm going to put it under the body of the butterfly, and that's going to complete my layout. So I'm going to have a close-up of the layout. And don't forget, I upload on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and sometimes on Saturdays. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up if you're enjoying these videos. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.